A royal donation for Bowelbabe. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge give money to Deborah James's Cancer Research Fund, which has now raised more than £3 million.
I know you know Deborah James, don't you?
We did this scheme a few years ago to try and get people doing triathlons of whatever standard and ability.
She's a very keen runner,
oh,
isn't she? She runs something like 5K a day, and then she obviously did some brilliant things as part of her
whole aura,
fundraising.
whole spirit was just, it blew me away. So, yeah, stayed in touch ever since. So this week's been, well, for everybody, it's really hard, isn't it? Really hard.
Yeah, she's said this week that she's receiving hospice care at home now for her cancer treatment, and that's what she revealed this week. And as a result, donations to the fund, which was set up by Deborah James, now she's also known as Bowelbabe, continue to flood in.
Yes, this time yesterday, so bring it up to date with the numbers, and they are quite extraordinary. Deborah had raised more than £2 million in just over a day. So that was like 24 hours, and it's suddenly £2 million. Today, as we sit here this morning, it's already over £3 million.
I think initially she said that she'd be happy with £250,000.
Yeah.
And she has said that these donations have just made her feel utterly loved. They've been accompanied by a wave of love and supportive messages. There's been a tweet from the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge who said, "Every now and then, someone captures the heart of the nation with their zest for life and tenacious desire to give back to society. Bowelbabe is one of those special people. Her tireless efforts to raise awareness of bowel cancer and end the stigma of treatment are inspiring. We're so sad to hear her recent update, but pleased to support the Bowelbabe Fund, which will benefit the Royal Marsden Hospital, among others. Deborah, our thoughts are with you, your family and your friends. Thank you for giving hope to so many who are living with cancer." And that was signed W&C, obviously for William and Catherine.
So in yesterday's breakfast, we featured an interview with Deborah, you remember that, in which trademark honesty, courage and good humour shone through.
We were inundated with messages from people who wanted to thank Deborah and to share their own stories of how she's helped and inspired them over the last few years. Charlotte Winfield has more.
Leanne was diagnosed with terminal cancer in March and given 6 months to live. She has 3 daughters, aged 10, 7 and 3.
I often think about, you know, particularly my 3-year-old, will she have a memory of me? That's what I would really like. I'd love to live long enough that she can actually remember me herself when she's older, and that she doesn't have to rely on her sisters to sort of say, this is what mum was like.
Leanne says watching Deborah's videos made her feel confident to speak openly about her illness.
It's about making your cancer journey worthwhile, like make sure it's not wasted. And I think she's definitely done that. The one thing that really touched me was when she said that she felt utterly loved by everything that people have done. And I think for me that really resonated, because throughout my whole journey I've had so much support, so many people being so kind to me, and it's really moving, and I can really understand how she feels.
Benjamin was a fit and active 33-year-old when he was diagnosed with bowel cancer in 2018. It was already advanced and he died just 7 months after starting treatments. Shortly before his death, he discovered Deborah.
So he actually came across Bowelbabe, or Deborah James, through her launch of the very aptly named FU Cancer book. And this was in 2018. And he was actually able to go to one of the launch events that she was hosting in Bath. And he met her, and they had a bit of a chat at the event there. And he said to her, he said, "You're a loose cannon. I want to be just like you." He could see her lust for life.
Abby has also been inspired by Deborah's story. After her brother's death, she set up a charity along with her mum and sister to raise awareness and support others.
She has changed the narrative around living with cancer, so much so that, you know, it's inspired others to think that they don't have to be defined by their cancer.
At just 27 and a mum to 2 young children, Megan was told she had bowel cancer. She says Deborah's You, Me and the Big C podcast helped her through the hardest times.
On my really tough days, because there were several of them, hearing somebody like Deborah, when she's going through it every day, and mine was only in comparison a short amount of time, really puts things into perspective. When Deborah announced that she's in end-of-life care, I cried. And it was almost like, well, she's defied all the odds, and it was never going to happen to her because it's Deborah James.
When Kirsten was diagnosed 3 years ago, she also began following Deborah's journey.
I think I was particularly inspired because of her love of dance, and I'm a dance and fitness instructor, and being able to see what she was doing and dance her way through however she was feeling really made me feel like I could still do it, because I very much felt at one point that I would never do it again. I would never dance again. I would never teach again. I was too poorly. I felt really ill. And then I would look at her and think, she's dancing up and down the corridors in the hospital. She's dancing in the ward. She's dancing attached to a drip. If she can do it, then I can as well, and I will.
After 8 rounds of chemotherapy, Ruth has now been given the all clear. She said it was Deborah that inspired her to keep going.
The first thing which catches you out is obviously Deborah's smile, her energy, and the way she just makes it look like, I don't know, so less scary. And so like, yes, you can do this. And I remember like when I was diagnosed, you know, your children are basically can be your absolute strength, your fight. But in your darkest hour, when you can't sleep, they can be your Achilles heel, because you know, you're thinking of all the, you know, darkest situations. And I remember going through my phone, scrolling through my phone, and obviously I'd always end up on Deborah's page, and, you know, you just have to carry on. You just, regardless, you have to, especially when your children are so young. But she helped massively with sharing her story for me.
Ruth has this message for Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you for being so selfless and, you know, sharing your story and being there for people in the most vulnerable, haunting states, because, you know, you have been and you deserve so much more. And yeah, I'm just really, 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 really grateful.
I would say also we're grateful to all of those people who have struggled, suffered with cancer, come through the other end, and just pay tribute to what Deborah has been doing with the You, Me, the Big C podcast, and her fundraising and her spirit as well. So thank you all for sharing your stories.
Yeah, and it's such a difficult subject to talk about, but so important that people do. Yeah. And they're able to have these conversations, you know, with us, with their own families.